Sim racing has got to be one of the most comprehensive genres of gaming in existence. Almost every conceivable detail from the real world is modelled in these games. From simple things such as slipstreaming, where the lessened wind resistance makes your car slightly faster, to the outright baffling black magic of tyres, and how they respond to initial D fanboys throwing a 40-year-old car into a corner sideways at 120 miles per hour. Sim racing has got it all, and you'd be hard pressed to find another kind of gaming that strives for realism that is even remotely as complex. Sure, Microsoft Flight Sim may model the entire planet in photorealistic detail, with its time zones and weather systems, all up to with 1,000 people connected at once. But can it accurately simulate a Ford Transit lapping the Nordschleife in under 10 minutes? I don't think so. Perhaps in Crusader Kings 3 I can make my children marry one another for hundreds of years, until I've spawned an army of inbred albinos, which I can then marry off to other rulers, until one day, generations down the line, my congenitally inbred dynasty is on every worthwhile throne in Europe and Asia, making me the most powerful, richest, and sexiest emperor in history. But that's right, it can't calculate the absolute carnage that is 32 racers trying to drive in a literal circle. You get the picture. Sim racing titles are great at simulating racing, and it takes some pretty big nerdicuses expending some of their nitpicky energy to start finding faults with them. Although, so I thought. You see, I've been sim racing since before I ever learned to drive in real life, and I was pretty damn impressed with just how realistic it all felt once I finally did get into the driver's seat. Hell, I'm pretty sure sim racing helped me with my accident avoidance, although looking back that's not surprising at all. However, as I've been driving more in real life, not drifting in public parking lots, certainly not street racing, and definitely not channeling my inner rally driver on country roads, and doing track days, there has only been one new lesson I've had to learn about performance driving. One thing that sim racing didn't prepare me for, and that one thing caught me out big time. Mechanical sympathy was a term invented by Sir Jackie Stewart, meaning to understand and care for how the machine you are driving operates, and how to get the best performance out of it. Without mechanical sympathy, your car will likely end up sounding like mine after drifting non-stop for 20 minutes. But luckily, that was just a snap belt. The M54 engine is bulletproof, I hope. But thinking at the time that it was Rob Knock and scared that I would have to scrap my Babe Magnet Z4, this unfortunate event instilled in me the importance of mechanical sympathy. So why didn't sim racing, the greatest, most complex genre in gaming, teach me this? Surely in racing, damage to your car has got to be one of the most important aspects. Unfortunately, this is the one single thing that every racing sim skimps on. In Assetto Corsa, you could do a barrel roll in a delicate car at 250 miles per hour. And if you listened close enough moments after, you can literally hear the car say,
"'Tis but a scratch." A scratch?
Racing cars are complex things, made of a ton of different materials, each reacting differently to almost infinite levels of contact. And that's before we even reach the engine. In most racing sims, you could lap a VW Beetle full throttle around the Nordschleife 10 times without so much as a peep from the engine. But in real life, this absolute lemon would require you to stop every 30 minutes on the highway to let it cool down, let alone get past turn 1. This is precisely where I find fault with racing sims. I was lucky enough to have Sebastian Loeb do donuts in his WRC4 Puma literally 10 feet in front of me. But notice how he only does it a few times and then stops for a moment. If we load a similar car into BeamNG and start doing the doughy deed, we get the warning that the engine is starved of oil due to the G-forces stopping it from being pumped around the engine. If Mr. Loeb did this, it would have been an expensive day for Red Bull. Going back to the Nordschleife because I fucking love it, Mr. Misha Charodin recommends that you don't boot your riced out Honda Civic down the straight after a hot lap. You slow down and give your car a chance to breathe. Let the engine and brakes cool. And sure enough, if I do too many hard laps around the Nordschleife without slowing down in Beam, everything overheats. Now, to be fair, BeamNG is not a racing simulation, it's crash smut above all else, and it's to be expected that this kind of detail would be modelled. Similarly, racing simulations are designed to be used properly, with minimal contact between cars, and crashes are expected to be few and far between. I guess they didn't have the foresight to predict TikTok kids playing on their mouse and keyboards. But when you boil sim racing down to what it's actually used for by the average user, in most cases it's just to have fun, which some people need to remember. And having your wheel fall off because some jackass in your simulated pit crew didn't tighten the lug nuts to spec would likely just get in the way of the experience they want to have. Some might say the same about their wheel falling off after hitting a concrete wall, but I'm unable to say they're incorrect. There's definitely a balance to be struck between simulated racing and simulated real-life racing. Some of the newer sims are leaning into this and are starting to simulate mechanical apathy, albeit on a minuscule scale, and it's a welcome feature in most. Assetto Corsa Competizione simulates brake fade. R-Factor 2 simulates flat spots if you get a little too trigger happy on the old handbrake. And if you rev your engine for the entire 2 minutes waiting on the grid before a race in iRacing, you'll likely blow your motor mid-race. But I don't play these sims anymore, so they don't really count. Anyway, even if I did, the consequences for not having mechanical sympathy are way too little. In a real hardcore damage simulator such as Beam, where the first achievement you unlock is literally called Senseless Destructor, every bit of mechanical apathy is brutally punished, and that is precisely why I find it so damn sexy. It's looking increasingly evident that BeamNG will become a viable racing simulator at some point, with laser scan tracks, stolen from Assetto Corsa, realistic race cars that are off-brand rip-offs of the real things, and apps that actually start the race. It's becoming ever easier to get a good simulated racing experience. This is precisely what is getting me excited. As a masochist that loves racing open-wheeler cars built in sheds, there's nothing more exciting to me than your entire wheel and suspension being ripped off by the most soft of contacts. I love the fact that in BeamNG, if I downshift even a second before I'm supposed to, the engine will spontaneously metamorphise into a hand grenade. And if you think getting punted by the rookie that hasn't learned to slow down for traffic yet is top tier gaming, wait until you see your first ever red flag after a turn 1 pileup that destroys literally every single car on the track. Mechanical sympathy is just another level of skill that sim racing needs. Another facet that would certainly elevate sim racers ever closer to the level of real drivers. Sure, it might not be for everyone, and it might be just a tiny bit frustrating, but after all, there's no reset button in real life, and I believe that the simulated brutality of realistic crash physics could be a great thing for the hobby. It's unlikely we'll see it in true racing sims, so please, for the love of God, try out BeamNG Sim Racing.